I gotta elevate. I've been praying to God for a better way. I concentrate on my goals and I meditate.
And just like that, VCC, Vibe con Chris starts. This is episode 1, and I'm right here with who else then?
Randy Oriana,
and this is Christopher Hernandez. So we're ready to get the information from the people who have it to the people who need it. And we're gonna start today. So how did this actually start, bro? Like, we were conversating, we were sharing tacos.
Yes, of course.
Tacos on a Tuesday night, Taco Tuesday.
Right. Well, what happened on the original Tuesday was he had this wonderful idea of starting a podcast and, really trying to get content out to the young guys who need it. However, like anything, hey, what are we going to do equipment-wise, scheduling-wise, what kind of topics are going to be sent, and this and that and whatsoever, all the complicated unnecessities. And it just kind of came to a point of it's like, bro, you really got to just put a date on it. Like, in all honesty, unless there's a deadline, nothing gets done.
Right. So he kept on pushing me like, okay, so what's the time? What's the dateline? And that actually brings us to our first topic, and none better than the one that holds us both back in different sections of our life. So we did just go get tacos right now, and I told him, bro, just park right here. You think it's going to be okay? You think it's going to be okay if I just park here? And I told him, dude, you're overthinking over a parking spot.
Yeah.
Right? But I told him, listen, when you make sales, you don't overthink things.
No.
But when you make moves in life, you tend to overthink them a lot.
Of course.
And I told him I'm the opposite. When we're talking, when we're sitting down talking, trying to do a sale, etc., or start something, I overthink it. But to just take action, do things in life that necessities that need to get done, I just take action and I go. So I told him, this is actually a pretty nice partnership,
Yeah.
That is how partnerships get built. Like, what you lack, your partner should have a strength in.
Not only that, but I think it's really important to build your wolf pack.
Yeah.
I see a lot of young guys try to go conquer the world, and I think that's wonderful, but they try to do it by themselves. And then it's at that moment that you realize that, oh shoot, I'm a human, I have deficiencies. Like earlier today, overthinking the parking spot. Oh, am I gonna get towed? Am I gonna back into someone? Do people here even have insurance? Like, what's going on? Like, it's kind of like, spot looks a little sketchy, but sketchy spots have the best tacos. Jokes aside. But then, bro, you put me in front of somebody to sell a policy or sell a vehicle, done. Because at the end of the day, I know if they want it, they're going to buy. All I have to do is just make the numbers right. If the numbers are right, they'll sign. Versus other aspects in life where maybe the confidence isn't there. Again, overthinking. I think the first point, and one we could really dive into, is just learning to give yourself permission to fail or to make mistakes.
So last time you said something about a cup, right?
About what?
About a cup. You want to double your success, you got to double your failure, something along those lines?
Yep. You want to double your success, you got to double your failures. If anything, triple your failures.
Elaborate, bro, because that shit sounds counterproductive.
So put it this way. It's like typical, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Something that actually really made me think this whole week was how long it takes you to bring an idea from your thoughts to reality. It's how effective it'll be. Meaning, if you think about something today and you take a month to act on it, that when you act on it, it's probably going to be really weak. Why? Because it had a whole month to fade away, right? But if you have an idea today and you wake up tomorrow and you take action on it, it's going to be so fresh that you're going to have so much energy and so much clarity still in it to be able to push that idea further.
I agree, because one thing that I think a lot of people, especially whether it's business or career-wise, where they really underestimate is power momentum. Because it's just getting that momentum and seeing those quick wins that align with you, that allow you to power through for the bigger challenges in life.
Right.
And apart from momentum too, to restate what you said earlier, when you close the gap between idea and execution, at that point you're able to act more. It's kind of like how I spoke with thing about OODA loop, OODA being OODA. Observe, orient, decide, act, repeat. So you just keep doing that act. Say I'm starting a food truck, for example. Okay, observe what's done in the marketplace and where's there a niche that I could go into. All right, let's say I want to do like pasta, for example. Okay, cool. So I want to do like a pasta truck. Okay, so observe. And then orient. Is there any other pasta trucks around? Has anyone ever done a pasta truck before? Okay. Why is Italian food not super popular in food trucks? And then decide, what? If I do go this route, this is how I need to do it. Act. Then make a pasta truck. Great, now what's hype? So observe what type of pastas I should do. What's the demographic around? Orient. Okay. I know downtown has this demographic and this price point. I know, oh, this part has this section and so on and so forth. And then again, you decide and then you act. And you just keep going through that cycle over and over again. So whether that's something career-wise, something romance-wise, or something business-wise, the longer that you have from observe to action, the less loops you go through, the less momentum you have, and in addition to that, the less effective you are. Yeah.
That's a round of applause, man.
And to further take it, one of my previous jobs, I used to work at a car dealership. And the one common thing I always hear is like, oh, I need time to think about it. I need time to think about it. And that's fine. But one thing I always bring to the customer or my clients at any time is, I completely understand. However, when we have a great opportunity in front of us or great numbers, we end up talking ourselves out of it because we sometimes believe that it's either too good to be true or that something is hidden from us. So with all respect, you don't need time, you need information to make a decision. Because you know that if you have all your options laid out, you're gonna choose what's best for you, correct?
Yeah.
Exactly, so what information could I bring you to help you make a decision?
Okay, well, a little bit of clarity, right?
Exactly, and at that point, if everything else was taken care of, what's the deciding factor? They might tell me it's price point. They might tell me it's something of value. They might tell me that, hey, you know what, I'm worried that this. Or, hey, you know what, I didn't like blank, blank, blank. Great, let me show you a couple options and we'll decide from there. Is that fair? Fair. Again, OODA loop, observe, orient, decide, act.
You actually have a very interesting story. So
Yeah.
I didn't know this about you, but you were what, 23 right now?
Well, I'm 24 now.
Well, 24 now.
Yeah.
You just turned 24, but you have a couple of things in your belt already. You've traveled. You've lived on your own. You know, you've gone to another country and lived out there. So I know that has a lot of value to the people listening. We all have problems and experiences, and we just come here, we talk about them because every problem or every experience that you've had, somebody is probably going through that problem and somebody is probably going through that experience right now. So learning from our do's and don'ts might help them save a lot of time. And my whole thing is money. The best thing that I love about money is that it can buy you time.
Of course.
You feel me? But what if you don't have money? How can you still buy time in quotation marks, right? And I like to leave it like this, like a smart person learns from their mistakes, but a wise person learns from other people's mistakes. And if you don't have to fall into the hole that the smart person had to fall into, learn that there's a hole there, well, you just save yourself a couple of minutes, a couple of hours, a couple of days, right? Yeah, so tell us a little bit of the background, bro. Like, when did you leave home? You know, how did it all start?
So here's what happened, right? Any boy's first love is his mother. And I think that's totally natural, totally normal. I saw something from my mom that I didn't appreciate.
Right.
And it was to the point of take it or leave it. I'm 20 at this point. So I am of age. And I said that, you know what, I don't think that this is something that's going to lead down a good path. And I had an opportunity to exit. So I left my hometown. And at that moment...
You were from where? You were from where?
Well, San Joaquin Valley. I'm not going to name the town that deserves no clout.
You had to fucking leave that place either way.
I had to leave that place,
You
bro.
couldn't leave it soon enough. Honestly,
No,
dude, I think God put that in your life. Is like, dude, if you don't leave now, you might just never leave.
Exactly. But I'm really glad I went through that because, and here's where everything entered. I was left in a position where I had nothing for me. Dead-end school, dead-end job, and I was in a town that I hated. And I was tired of...
Dead-end town, bro.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I was really tired of everybody not having any dreams, any ambition, and the greatest thing that you can go is maybe like a Golden Corral. Like that's the highest we had there. No, being real. And now, Randy, what made you move to LA? Well, simple. I had an opportunity to move across state in San Bernardino. Not that much better, but a little bit. But at least there was people there. At least there was something connected. And I knew immediately that I need to understand money. So what I did right there is I moved in, I paid my first rent, and I got a job as a bank teller, right? And so although I didn't earn a ton of cash, I understood how banks worked, how lending practices worked, how people had different deciding factors, who was broke, who had money, and so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever happened after that, COVID happened. I moved into family's house who lived in El Salvador, and one of my family members had a spot in West Palm Beach, Florida. I moved out there, did some odd jobs. I've always loved cars. A man who, by the name of Tony Hernandez, actually reached out to me and said, hey, I run a Toyota dealership in Miami. I really like your customer service. We need salesmen. So I said, you know what? This is something that I'm willing to do. I'm young and dumb enough where I can try, but I have the stamina to get myself up if I do. I sold everything. I slept in my car. I showered at the gym. I belled pretty much every day, which is like 12-hour shifts.
Wait, and then when you were sleeping in your car, you actually had a tip for everybody.
Yeah.
When you park overnight, what should you do?
You should look for dark spots, usually in restaurant parking lots where the light's not going to blind you. If you can and you have gasoline, keep your car on and keep the AC low because it's Florida, so there's a lot of humidity. And I remember I was smart enough that I left the windows open and I just woke up with mosquito bites all over me. And I still had to come to work where I need to be professional. And this is Miami. You got to look good.
Yeah.
If you want to sell cars, you got to look the part. So you can't be coming in with mosquito bites and wrinkled clothes.
You had chicken pox and shit, bro?
Well, this was COVID time, so they thought it was a symptom, you know? And I still sold cars. So what does that tell you?
That tells me that you were determined. You were a man on a mission, bro.
Yeah. It
That's
really
what it
comes
tells
down
me.
to what were you
Yeah.
willing to sacrifice for what you want?
And then, like, look, just bringing it back real quick to when you were a banker. I mean, it wasn't the most fun job, right?
No, it wasn't.
It wasn't. But for like everybody that has a job that they don't think it's fun, or it's just literally to pay the bills to get by.
Of course.
Did you get a lot of value out of being a bank teller?
Absolutely.
Yeah, like was it like your introduction to how to speak with people, how to like when they walked in, you kind of knew what they wanted to do based off the way they were walking, talking, dressing?
You know what? It was actually less about the clients and more about my coworkers, because it was at that point I was no longer working at a restaurant. I was working in a corporation, and that's at that point where I understood politics, you know, or at least office politics.
Right.
And at that point too, I also got to see people's money habits. It was less about them and my interaction with them and more about what's really in their account. How much are they putting away per month? Where is their money coming from? Because you're able to see what goes in and then what comes out.
Okay.
You know, it's learning stuff like a stop payment or cashier's checks or what people would do. I know one guy who got a personal loan. You know, I don't remember his interest rate. I think it was like 13%, but he did that to pay his rent. Yeah, he took out like a $2,000 loan, personal loan, to pay his rent because one of his vendors didn't give him his check, so he couldn't pay.
Yeah. So he was
From what I've heard, I think he was able to pay it off, but he still had to pay interest on that.
Yeah, that 13%, bro, off 2K is, for somebody that didn't have 2K, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it just taught money habits, taught
Right.
politics,
Okay.
a little bit of sales, not really, because I mean you're a teller, you're not like maybe a loan officer.
Yeah.
Or
But it's introduction though.
oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So fast forward now, you're getting stung up by mosquitoes because you left the window cracked open, trying to
that's
save on gas. You know, understandable. Did you do it more than once, or was that a one-time deal?
One and done. I think you learn after that. You should learn after that.
Bro, so
Yeah.
look, you get one mosquito bite and you try to do that like that little cross, you know, so that it stops itching and stuff like that. How did you take care of a whole body full of mosquito bites?
I just had to sit with it. Just had to like not scratch my forearms.
In the humidity of Florida.
Well, I have 50-50 because keep in mind in car sales, like a majority of the time you're inside, so it's air conditioned.
Okay.
You know, the only time you really see humidity is like when you walk out and grab a car.
You have to do that quite often.
Yeah.
And like when you're showing the client, like, yeah, that was
Yeah.
uncomfortable.
I mean, yeah, but it was never about comfort. It was about sacrifice.
Right.
Because keep in mind, the whole, Randy, why would you do this? Why would you not move back to LA where you have family who will take care of you, who are
Right.
getting paid by the government with the EO, whatever
EBT.
checks. Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, like, why would you go to this far? You don't have to. Dude, you're 23. Like, you're 23. Why are you doing this? And it was to the fact that I wanted to be independent. I saw an opportunity to make money. And also, I've never been on the East Coast prior to that. And I saw the life and I saw the glamour of Miami. And I wanted to get rid of my previous identity in my small town and say, no, I'm this guy now. I want a 305 number. I want to cement myself here. I want to sell cars. I want to make a 10K check and I want to make it big. And to a sense, it worked.
This is why I like hanging out with you, bro.
Thank you.
Because it makes me very, very uncomfortable being around people that are extremely comfortable being comfortable.
Of course.
Meaning they've been doing the same shit for the past whatever years, or maybe they've been getting little promotions here and there, but they won't get out of their comfort zone to actually achieve what they want to achieve.
Of course.
So they're not willing to put down what they have for what they actually want. You get me?
Of
and
course.
you threw it all, and we're like, bro, I want this life. I want this freedom. I want this emancipation from the government, parents, and the society that you were in that desert. I still can't get over.
I wanted a new identity. And what's the furthest thing from a desert than 305?
Damn.
You know?
Okay.
But all joking aside too, it really came down to my first commission check was $3,000. Prior to that, I never made more than 2.5.
Right.
So it was like, okay, this is kind of working. You know, with that $3,000, I moved out of my car. I took the best shower of my life.
Wait,
like with hot water. It was so good. And no one else's hair was there, which was great. You know?
Wait, what car were you driving at this point, though?
A 2015 Toyota Corolla, silver.
Okay.
Yeah.
It wasn't that bad.
It wasn't honestly that bad. No, but
well, that's an uncomfortable seat, though. I will say that.
I mean, I don't even remember, bro. But what was really cool, I had my Miami residence. For all those who want to know, I lived kind of like towards Sweetwater, more towards East Kendall area. Not towards Tammany, but you know, somewhere around there.
You still got Florida plates.
I still have Florida plates. I'm not letting that go. I'm really grateful I had that. And it was less about the status and less about how much actual money I was making. I was making anywhere between $5,000 to $7,000, which for somebody who was 22 at that age, and my rent was only like $800 a month.
Right.
That was fan-freaking-tastic.
Yeah.
You know, I bought myself nicer clothes. I started building my credit.
Started showering, hot showers.
Thank you. You know? And then another thing too is that when you're a young man and you're in decent shape and you know how to talk about uncomfortable numbers with somebody, you can tell somebody to their face, hey man, your credit's not wonderful. And because of that, these are the things I can offer you. When you have that kind of authority and you're seen around nice cars very often, you attract a certain kind of confidence because you have accomplished something, because you've made the commission checks, because you've actually made this work, because you came from living in your car to now living somewhat the Miami lifestyle. And at that point, because you have that confidence, you know, things about being maybe a little bit more risk with your money, or maybe coming into working on your days off, maybe being a little bit bold with your commission, or how you're presenting a pencil, you know, really allows you to further cement and build those skills, regardless of whether this is rapport, presentation, or just closing tactics. And it was at that point that decision making became easier. Notice, I can talk about sales easy,
Right.
but I have a problem with parking. Which brings us back to our first point, have friends who are good with your deficiencies.
Yeah.
Now, Chris, what is your biggest strength and what is your biggest deficiency?
So my biggest strength is I know how to build relationships.
Okay.
And I don't like burning bridges.
Okay.
And I have gone out of my way. I will continue to go out of my way. I will even burn some things of my own end because I know I can always make them back, but you can't always maintain a good relationship with another person. My biggest strength, my biggest weakness is working on that, is knowing when to begin to let go of it, knowing when it's stopping to be a 50-50 and becoming an 80-20. At that point, you're just getting taken advantage of.
So is that really a weakness if you understand that, hey, this is an 80-20 and I'm cutting it?
It is when you don't know when it's an 80-20.
Okay, so it takes a minute for it to settle in.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I guess I wouldn't say that that's my biggest weakness, but that's something that I'm currently, I've been tackling and it's been working out better. Another weakness would be exactly what we're talking about, bringing an idea into a reality. We've talked, I do have quite a few good ideas, great ideas, but how long it takes me to bring them to reality, that's what's been killing me.
Okay.
What tips do you have that you've implemented in your life to
to close the gap between action and execution.
Yeah.
I think it's less about learning to be impulsive, because I think people are going to get the wrong idea, of just be impulsive and, just like do stuff because you should. And
so I have tried that route. Yeah.
Yeah. Don't try that route.
I tried that route, and because it obviously doesn't work out.
It doesn't.
If you just fucking go, it doesn't work out. But see, I think this is why me and my wife work so great together, because so when I push forward, I'm very good at that. I can do that.
Okay.
But don't ask me to be looking around either.
The horse is the blinders, basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm gonna go.
Of course.
You know what I mean? So my wife, she doesn't have blinders on. And she's like, yo, you need to relax right here. You need to go more left right here. You're going too right. Stay in the middle, type of stuff like that. But,
so it's, you know how to go direct, but she has that bird's eye view, basically.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's really, again, actually tying into that is going to be perception and understanding, okay, what's the payoff? So in my case, I saw that Miami was going to work out. I saw that, something good was going to come out of this, but I understood that there was a price that needed to be paid. And I was willing to do it because what was the alternative? I'm forever going to be that hometown boy. One thing I can say is understanding, was this worth it? It's like hitting the gym. You hate it the first couple times. You're like, I'm sore, I'm weird.
Bro,
I don't like this.
Okay, we don't hate it, but you still don't like it.
No, I mean, I love it. I love bulking. But back to our original conversation. So it's really understanding, what was the payoff. Now to further, I guess, shorten the idea from execution onto action. I think it really comes down to, again, one, understanding that you don't necessarily need time, you need information. Secondly.
Well, wait, what do you mean? No, because that.
Yeah.
If you say that, bro, for a person like me,
okay,
I'm gonna just bring that back to overthinking. So you just said it's not about time, you just need information.
Yes. You need enough information to act.
And what does that mean?
That means you need enough to make the first step.
Okay.
But here's where people have analysis paralysis. Analysis paralysis is pretty much when you have so much to think about that you don't know what to do.
Okay.
So
like a kid in a candy store, bro. You just don't even know where to go.
You don't know where to start.
Yeah. I've had that before.
Now, you need to have enough information to at least make the first step, or at least the first two steps.
So, like, regarding this example, it's like, okay, we knew what we wanted to do.
Of course.
Just get the information from the people who have it to the people who need it.
We knew we needed to shoot.
Right. We knew we needed to shoot, and we knew that we had enough equipment to get started.
Of course.
Okay, cool. I'm
on
board.
Now, here's what's interesting.
Yeah.
Kind of like how I spoke about OODA loop. Yeah. Observe, orient, decide, act. Yeah. It's like, okay, now we have a topic, right? Now we have a couple topics. Who is our demographic? What are we trying to speak to? What's the main message that needs to be reported out there?
Yeah.
All right, that's step 2. Boom, step 2 is done. Great. Now observe, orient, act. What should we take care of first? Marketing, equipment, guests. What's the next thing that needs to go up? And at that point, we're going to observe, orient, learn more about podcasts, learn more about how they organize and how they decide, what they do to content batch, for example. And then after that, decide and act, and then repeat, and then repeat, and then repeat, which kind of brings me to my final point. You really have to give yourself permission to make small mistakes, and understanding that these small mistakes are not going to kill you, that if anything, they're going to be abilities to learn. So for example, there was a cut that we did previously that will not be published, right? That allowed us to understand and flow and get the ideas that we wanted to get out. That was a free ball.
Kind of, yeah, and you know what, to add to that, it's kind of like when you're ready to go out there prospecting or something like that.
Of course.
You're the first person you encounter. You don't try to tell them your pitch. The first person you encounter, you tell them, hey, good morning, how you doing? You have a beautiful smile. Have a good day.
Yeah.
You get the ball rolling, right?
Exactly.
You just do it to get the nerves, the jitters out, and you get the ball rolling. Maybe the second or third person, that's when you start.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then not only that too, is that you can at that point understand where that person is. If that person responds with, hey man, thank you, I appreciate that too. Now you got that momentum, you're good, you're rolling. Now you can network a little bit easier. Or the worst they're gonna do is just be like, and nothing bad happened because you still have that momentum going. You still got the jitters out your system.
Yeah.
So it's at that point realizing that it's not everything is life or death necessarily, especially when you're starting out. You know? So by allowing yourself to give yourself permission, you know, to try, to give yourself permission to attempt, then that's when you're really able to start making progress. And now you have the momentum, and now you can act. Observe, orient, decide, act.
Awesome, bro. No,
Yeah.
I appreciate that, man.
Of course, appreciate
Right
that.
on. And something that I was working on today is, I was talking with my wife, and we had to do something. We just had to make a phone call, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we kept on overthinking it, and we kept on saying, what if this, what if that?
Mm-hmm.
And when we finally made the phone call, everything went so smooth. Everything just, you know, it played out much better than we had anticipated. We technically, in quotation marks, over-prepared for it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think a lot of times we overthink and over-prepare for a situation that once we tackle it, we find out it was easier than expected.
Mm-hmm.
But when we do the opposite, we tend to actively struggle due to lack of preparation and confidence.
Mm-hmm.
So when you over-prepare for something, you're kind of trying to see every single angle that can go wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And when you under-prepare for something, you're not ready even for the first angle that goes wrong.
That's fair.
You know? So in a sense, it's like a lot of things in my life that I have over-prepared for, they have seemed so smooth, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the ones that I thought that were going to be so easy, I find myself having to do it 2 to 3 times again because of under preparation. So what I've learned to do now is stay ready so you don't have to get ready. And in that sense, it's like start taking more notes, you know, either on paper, on your cell phone, mental notes too, or have a partner with you that, you know, kind of keeps you accountable and is like, look, dude, you're over preparing for this shit again. Like, you have what you need, go ahead and execute. Or, yo, bro, are you really going to try to execute when you don't have shit done? You know, so that I would like to end my side with that, brother. Anything, any last few words that you like to?
I'd like to end it with a small story.
Okay.
I met a young individual with very bright ideas at my office one of these days. And this guy came up to me and he spoke to me in private and basically said, hey, you know what? I really like the opportunity that I have in front of me. I'm very, very concerned about how I may come off to people, or if this thing's really real. Am I in over my head? You know, how do you handle this, and that? Because I know that this is possible, but I have a hard time getting there. And I told this person in this the easiest terms. There's a wise man named Marcus Aurelius who said, you often suffer more in your imagination than you do in reality. Let me say that one more time. You often suffer more in your imagination than you do in reality. You're able to see a little bit more clearly and understand that here in the real world, where you are, where your feet are, maybe stuff isn't as bad as you actually think it is. Maybe your problems are here. Now that you have that information, what are you going to do with it? How can you act? I'll leave it at that.
I gotta elevate. I've been praying to God for a better way. I concentrate on my goals and I meditate. Make sacrifices, put time and I dedicate. I gotta elevate. I'ma make sure the family forever straight. They wouldn't listen, now I gotta devastate. I'm on your ass and I won't let you get away. I gotta elevate.